Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Sandbox mode. In the previous episode, we achieved something we have not done in a very long time. We actually managed a successful landing on Duna, bringing a rover to a landing site over that way, about 35 kilometers, and then driving it over here to Bill's location and getting him aboard. He's all raring and ready and raring to go. All we need is a place for him to go, and we get that by landing this ship, which has arrived from Kerbin, has landed on Ike, mined kethane and refueled itself, and brought itself and the rover here to Duna. So now we need to plot a Duna landing so that we can set down here in the kethane fields. And I think the first thing to do is going to be, well, we're going to have to lower the lower this part of the orbit. Perhaps not too much, but it will have to be lowered. Plot that. Whoa, wait a minute. That was a bit too much in one go. Let's bump it forward in time, see if we can allow for planetary rotation. That looks pretty good right there. Alright. Go ahead and set an alarm for that maneuver. Get in position, warp around to it, and then after that maneuver we'll do a bit of a plane change and then plan our final deorbit maneuver. And see if we can set this thing down on Duna in a kethane field intact. Okay, time warping around now. And I'm taking this view like this because on the night side there's nothing to see, and I want to make sure this orbit goes where I've planned it to. Burn it about 15 seconds before the node. Okay, how come I can't operate the throttle? Time warp is not engaged. The engines are live. Okay, this is peculiar, to say the least. None of my controls are operating. Time warp on and off doesn't seem to change anything. We are aligned with our maneuver node. In fact, we're several seconds past it now. This is annoying. Alright. Okay, I've switched to the lander and back. and none of my controls work. This is most peculiar. I know there's no crew, but there is a remote control unit on this thing. There it is. Not enough electric charge. Okay, let us hope. What I'm going to have to do is go around again. I forgot to reopen the solar panels before or just after disconnecting the lander. Let's see, do I have enough action group juice to open those panels? Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Maneuvering to get into position used up the last of the juice, and the panels will not open now. Engines will not activate, controls are dead because there is no power to operate them. Note to self, future design include at least a few passive solar panels that don't have to be opened. Alright, I'm going to try time warping around until we're in daylight. See if that gives us any help at all. There is no option to open them because there is no power to do it with. Now that is bloody annoying. Alright, let's see here. Got another ship in orbit here. Let's see if is it possible maybe we can dock with it. Switch to that, or have it come dock with that. Totally unanticipated BS. And this ship has very little fuel but lots of power. So if this one can be made to dock with this other one, power will not be an issue. Fuel, however, is. We're pretty much almost at a place to do a plane change burn to get lined up. Turn that grid off. 8.1 degrees minus. So we need negative plane change. Oh, stop it. We need positive plane change. I think that's about the best we're going to get. Yeah. Alright. That's going to cost us 113 delta V. Let's get into position for it and burn it immediately. hope that we have enough delta V left in this ship to dock with the other one. Alright. Delete maneuver node. Separation 71 kilometers. Over here, separation 75. Try this. That puts us 3.8 kilometers around after one orbit. 3.8 kilometers away, and only one orbit to get there. How much delta V do we have left on this thing anyway? 1,578 meters per second. Alright, that'll do it. So we'll expand this other side of our orbit in a phasing maneuver. When we get over here, we can do a plane change to get that last 0.7. And that'll do it. Burn 16 seconds. We'll burn at T-minus 8. Turn that off. SAS on. Burn. It's a good thing I left that ship in orbit. Okay. Closest approach 6.8, and if we get out here, and out here this far away, a plane change maneuver will be a lot less expensive. Minus 0.7, so we need positive. Point 2. 0.4, okay, we've gone too far. 0.1, 0.0, okay. Get lined up with that node, schedule the burn. It's an almost non-existent burn. Very slight, 5 meters per second, so we'll get in there at 10 seconds before. And then we'll dock this thing with the kethane ship and get its batteries a jump start. Turn that off. Time warp it around. Minimum throttle burn. This should have our relative inclination at 0. between 0 and NAN. That's perfect. Excellent. All right. Now all we need is a maneuver here at closest approach to match orbits. And it looks like around 8 kilometers is going to be the best closest approach number. We have 8.7, 8.6. It's going to be about the best we can get, it looks like. All right, take it. Schedule the burn. Get lined up with it and warp it around. Okay, 17-second burn, burning at T-minus 8. Looks good. Is good. 8.4 kilometer closest approach. And in fact, it's coming up in about 6 minutes. Alright, flight stats. Go to target relative negative and get out of orbit view. We don't need it anymore. Okay, we're 4.3 kilometers away right now, so kill our relative velocity. And begin an approach. Bring our closest approach distance down. To about 100 meters. And once we cancel that relative velocity, we can continue the rest of the approach on thrusters. Okay, bit of time warp. down to about 200 meters and start braking. Effect start now. Close enough to make out the shape of the ship. Alright, target plus. As soon as I can select a docking port, that'll be time to... No, not yet. Close approach now is going to be about 20 meters. And we can't ask that ship to do any maneuvering or positioning or anything because it doesn't have the power to do it. Let's time warp in and get that docking port selected. Alright. Should be able to from here, theoretically at least. But not yet, because the ship is facing the other way. Closing in some more. We're actually going to have to be on the other side of the ship before I can select that docking port. Definitely the addition of a few passive solar panels on the outside of the ship, just in case, to prevent disasters where a ship becomes dead because somebody forgot to open the panels. That way there's at least enough power to do that. Oh, good grief, I had time warp on that whole time. Docking port set as target. Switching to docking mode. Smart ASS off. As I attempt to figure this control setup out before I run out of fuel. Okay. Lights on, in case that will help. Theoretically it should, but you never know. And start some forward velocity to approach. Okay, we're on approach for docking. Now this episode is turning out to be a lot more involved than I had thought, and it's almost definitely going to be 2 episodes. This one, in which we get this ship docked with and recharged enough to open its solar panels because of pilot error that involved not opening them when he should have. And the next part where there will be a landing on Duna. Some strange lighting glitches going on here. Seems it can't decide how big and where the engine shadows are supposed to be. "31 meters to the docking port and closing." And as I'm sure somebody is suggesting I use time warp at this point, never in a docking maneuver. I figure basically once we're within 100 meters of the target, time warp is off limits. It's too risky. Too easy to just blow it. "16 meters out and closing." And the distance I'm using, by the way, is this one here, which shows the distance to the target port. This should do it. This should let us breathe new life into an otherwise dead ship. All right, dead on. And we are docked. The batteries are recharging. Solar panels extending. All right. And because this thing is just about out of fuel, and it has proven to be very handy, I'm going to transfer some fuel into it from this thing and then use the kethane to refuel this lander before actually engaging in the landing. Once I've done the transfer and disconnected this ship, I'll use the TAC fuel balancer to balance out the fuel load on the lander. Okay, lights off. We don't need them on anymore for right now. That should be a decent load of fuel. Keep it useful. And in future flights we will see about getting it completely refueled. Undocking. Let's see, a bit of reverse thrusters to back away after we get out of docking mode. Alright, next operation is to balance out the fuel load. And we'll just leave that active because it'll be necessary. And then I'm going to convert some of this kethane into liquid fuel and oxidizer, top off the monoprop, and in the next episode we actually will land. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here.